It's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, good. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Spooky Things with Debbie. We have a very interesting guest tonight, and I'd like to welcome Keith Age on to Spooky Things. Hi, Keith.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We got a lot to talk about. Um, you got a lot of projects in the works right now,
Yeah,
and
quite a few.
yeah. So let's start. You started as a musician.
Yeah, I've been
That came first,
playing.
right? Before paranormal.
I'm not a psychic at all, but I started out playing in the bars when I was 12 years old. Played internationally when I was 16.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. I come from a musical family as well, so I know a little bit about that. Um,
Cool.
what? Okay, so yeah. So you started out. What do you play the guitar,
I couldn't hear you. I'm
right?
sorry.
Do you play the guitar?
Play guitar, bass, drums, but I'm mostly a bass player.
Mostly a bass player. Okay. Um, my father was a bass player. He was in the service, and he used to play in a lot of bands overseas. So we used to go see him play all the time. It was a lot of fun. Um,
Cool.
so you were a musician, yeah. You were a
Still am.
musician, and then what got you started? It- You know what? You're going to be for life. Once a musician, you're a musician for life.
Oh, yeah. Um, when I got off the road
Yeah.
when I was 17, I met a girl who would never take me over to meet her mom and dad. And this was the late 70s. And I had hair down to my rear end and a full beard and the rock and roll look. Brand new Camaro. Had more money than I should have had. And I just figured, well, she never took me over because, that look. And then on her 17th birthday, her parents invited me over for a surprise party. So I was like, okay, cool. So I get there, knock on the door. She answers, and she's just got this horrified look on her face. And I was like, look, it's cool. Your mom and dad invited me. And she said, no, you don't understand. Just me and my sisters, there's a ghost in the house, and he doesn't like our boyfriends. And I went, uh huh, let's go smoke another one. And so I'm thinking she's crazy, and what have I gotten myself into? It's just a little bitty ranch house. We sat on the couch, you could see down the hallway, and there's a mirror there, and you could see our reflection, and something kept walking past it. And so I got up, went looking for whatever this was, tore the room apart, nobody there. And so for the rest of the night, I kept calling this thing out, saying, do something, show me something. I don't believe in you. Prove to me you're real. And at the end of the night, I went to kiss her goodbye inside the living room at the front door. And right as I bent down to kiss her, I felt something go right on my arm. And the first thing I thought was, oh, wow, dad's got me here. But I could see him sitting over the lazy boy. And the next thing I know, I'm flying backwards through the front door, through the screen door, and I landed about 6 feet past the steps. And I remember laying there trying to catch my breath and going fingers, toes, what's working, what's not. And then I went, that was so cool. Do it again. and I've been hooked on it ever since.
That sounds about right. That
Yeah,
sounds about right.
but like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not a psychic. I do everything as scientifically as possible. I'm not a scientist either.
Right.
I do a lot of things that deal with sound and recording, and because that's my background, and because
Right.
I'm a sound engineer too, and you know, we've caught some really wild, amazing stuff that I can't explain, and neither can a lot of people. Not a lot of the real scientists, they can't explain either.
Right. You know, it's interesting that you got a very diverse background, and it all fits into really with the paranormal as well, because as we know, music is a great instigator and it's a great target method to use with paranormal. And and a lot of times we investigate the sounds, the different pitches, the different levels, and I mean, your expertise in that would be amazing.
Well,
Um,
tell you what, we did a shoot for the new series we're doing called Bourbon Spirits over in Indiana at the location of where an axe murder took place 150 years ago.
ooh,
And when you walk into this basement area, it's like stepping back 150 years ago. It's got a dirt floor, the original wood timbers and everything are still there. And the man that was murdered was a German immigrant. So as we're filming, we're doing an EVP session, and I brought in a German translator. So when Shannon, the star of the show, asked questions in English, he asked it again in German. And as they're sitting there, I've got two sensor lights that pick up different ranges of sound, and they go off real quick and then they stop. Well, come back and we go listening to it, and there's just a little bitty blip when she asks, "Is there anybody here with us?" And I had to amplify this thing almost 98% just to hear it, and it's a German voice saying, "I'm here."
oh, oh, I had a similar, very similar thing happen in a on a previous team that I was with, and it was with German immigrants. Now, my father is full-blooded Creek Indian, was full-blooded Creek Indian, and but my mother was full-blooded German, and he met her in Germany when he was in the service. So he got to a point where he spoke German fluently. And as kids, we didn't even come to the United States until we were 12. I was 12. My sister was even older. So we spoke German fluently as well. And I've lost a lot of the fluency part of it, and I do have an accent with it, but I can speak and understand German very well. And we were at a place and it was German immigrants, and we have it on tape where there is a conversation between me and this person that went on for an easy 20, 30 minutes. And it was a
Cool.
back and forth conversation like you and I are having.
That's awesome.
It
Yeah,
is.
this what happened to us. We didn't hear it until after we went back and listened to it again and everything. But EVPs are awesome. Have you ever been to Poasttown Elementary School?
No.
Okay, it's a school that's one of my favorite places to go to. It's weird things happen all the time, but before it was a school, they had one of the worst train wrecks in Ohio there in the early
Oh.
1900s. And they used the land that the school sits on as a triage. And we've been out there in the back by the railroad tracks just doing EVP sessions. And we get screams that we don't hear, but recorders pick it up. And you hear, "Where's my mommy? I'm burning." Just all kinds. We got really great stuff.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so yeah,
That's yeah, that's hard.
I love the EVP stuff and thermal. Those are my two favorite things.
Mhm. Yeah, I like the thermal too. But I mean, it's actually very difficult to listen to that, to hear people in anguish like that and
Oh yeah,
terrified, going through a traumatic experience. And, it's like we tell people these are people. These are people just like you and I. And you're actually listening to a bona fide person here. And,
you're listening to something.
yeah, you can't hear something if it's not there,
That's true. You know,
you know?
we barely scratched the surface on
Oh,
this,
yeah,
and I don't even use the word ghost anymore because we don't know what this is. Is this some type
right,
of time loop? But then you get intelligent responses, and you go, "How can it be a loop if unless you've already done the same thing over again, and you
right.
know that you haven't?" So you know, I'd love for the real scientists to finally kick in. I don't know if it'll ever happen in my lifetime or not, but you know, too many people right now want to be famous, and that's not what a lot of us got into this for.
Mm-mm.
They're going. Well, you have TV shows, and I'm like, I didn't ask to be in them. I was just right place, right time, and
Yeah,
you know, I've already had my brush with fame years ago. Never cared if I did it again or not, and you know, so yeah, I do look at things a little differently. I don't just automatically go, "Ooh, that's a ghost." I try
yeah,
to figure out what's causing this stuff first.
exactly, exactly. And we explored a lot of, like, my son is really into a lot of things different than what I am. And it's really wonderful because him and I work really good together because we're looking at it a lot of times from two different angles,
Right.
trying to meet in the middle. And that's really cool. And we have discussed everything from alternate universes. Now, we have something, Keith, that you'd probably be really interested in. We have caught an actual portal on film.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
And yeah. Oh, I'll show it to you. And it's in a hotel actually where we caught it at, and it's one upstairs and one downstairs, and we believe it's probably the same one, kind of like. And my friend who was part of the team, well, she actually, it was her team. She put it perfectly when she said it's like a train station making stops. It stops
I
here
can
and it
understand that.
stops
Yeah.
there. Yes. So they can come in through here and come out through there, and they can do the opposite. Now, envision that on a much larger scale. If they can do it there, and we've had scientists come up to us and say, "We'd like to have a copy of that film," and I won't give it to them. Man, some people are like, "Oh, you should just give it to them." Maybe, but I want to make sure that it's for the right reason. And it really is very interesting. And it's like one person was saying to me, we were talking about it, and he said, "I would really like to take a look at it because we look at things on a very, very gigantic, gargantuan scale, which is space. And you have your black holes. We know that things go into it, and we assume that things are coming out of it at a different place. But they've never really experienced something coming out of a black hole. They've experienced it going in.
Right.
But what
Yeah.
we caught, right? But what we caught are things coming in and out, and that's really fascinating. It's an in, it's an out, and they were
Definitely.
absolutely fascinated. Yeah, they were absolutely fascinated by it, and it is exactly what people say it is. It's like it's surreal. It's just got blue sparkles all up in it. It's amazing. It really is. But like you, I don't like using the word ghost because that's just to me it's almost like a childish word. Oh, it's a
Well,
ghost.
well, that's what it was. That's what it was made up for.
Yeah,
In
it is.
the in Germany, in Europe, and in the
Mm-hmm.
late 1600s, they made up the term to scare children into going to bed.
Children.
And
Yeah, it was.
you know, and it's hung ever since.
Yeah. I mean, there's just I don't know. The terminology spiritual phenomenon. Yeah, 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 but it's just to me it's just paranormal. It's just okay. I can't explain it.
Yeah,
I can't tell you what it is. So, instead of
right.
me trying to
Yeah.
specify it as this or that,
Mhm.
it's paranormal. I don't
Well,
know.
that's what I
But
said.
that's what
It's
we do.
something we just don't have an answer for it yet. Uh, I've always said it's going to take the scientists, the researchers, which are basic data takers. That's all we are really, and
Right.
to finally come together. And the psychics. I believe there are some psychics out there that actually do have the gift, and when I need something in that vein, there's a few that I do call on. Just because I
Hmm.
know that they won't get up here and try to give me the oh, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and because they know if they do, I'll just blast them down. And
Yeah.
you know, when I teach, I teach people to learn your gear, learn your equipment, and then I see people come in with 20, 30,000 dollars worth of gear. You got a camera, you got a thermal imager, you've got all kinds of voice recorders, and I'm like, pick one field in the field, do your best with it, and if you want to do something else, then go do something else. Know what your gear does, know how it works, why it
Right.
works. That's just like people talk about EMFs, EMF meters. And I'm like, do you know where they came from? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, it was originally used in the early 1900s to measure radioactivity from the old refrigerators. And then eventually became for microwaves. I said, the very first patent was 1916 for an EMF meter, electromagnetic field meter. So I said, you got to really know what this stuff does and what it was built for. And then I see people going, waving their EMF meter around and everything, and I'm like, if that has an axis, you're screwing it up. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, that anytime it goes off like that, now you need to recalibrate. And they're going, what's recalibrate? I'm like, okay, that's just like I had a 19-year-old priest who told me he was an exorcist. And I asked him, I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, you're 19. He said, yeah. I said, and where did you learn the rite of exorcism at? And he said, oh, from books. I was like, okay. And what's your faith? What's it based in? And he said, I'm a Republican. And I went, uh huh. And at that point, I had no mercy for him whatsoever. You
It
know,
was on.
yeah. And now that was a long time ago, and he he has thanked me for that run in through the years because it made him really dive into what he really needed to know. When it
Yeah.
comes to exorcisms, there's only a few that are truly ordained to do it, and then you
Right.
got people like John Zaffis who just, Zaffis and I have been friends for a long time. You know, just by the fact he has done this for so long, I'll say, okay, if he wants to get up here and go do an exorcism, you go have fun, John. Be my guest. I'll take it for what you do.
Yeah. You know, experience says a lot, and
Well,
especially in this particular field, experience is paramount.
hmm
And book learning is great, and I applaud them for the research and the effort that they put into understanding it. I applaud them for that, but nothing beats the experience, and
true.
that's just something you can't put in a book. It comes from within, and
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you how many I've been on. I've never counted them.
yeah.
Definitely more than a few hundred. Uh, and you've got the wannabes who really just so gung ho, and they need to learn the craft a little bit more, what there is of the craft right now. And then you've got, I've found my share of fakers and hoaxers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be honest, those are the fun ones to have fun with. But then you got the ones who just they've seen a TV show or two and think that's how you do it. No, it's not. I hate to tell you. And they're like going, "Well, you've got a TV show." I'm like, and what you see on TV is does not equal to the amount of time that we were actually there. You see 20, 25
Exactly.
minutes of us being there a week. You're getting what the editors and the directors want you to see. And that's one of the good things I've always loved about the Booth brothers and the movies, the documentaries we made. That if I could explain something away, we did. And if I couldn't, I said I couldn't explain it away. 99.9% of the time, you can explain something away as a natural cause, but it's that 1% that you go,
Mm-hmm.
uh oh, wait a minute, what the hell was that? And
What was that?
yeah, and let me see that again. And like I said, I'm a musician from the '70s. Uh, when something scares everybody else and they run away, and I walk towards it, and they're going, "Man, you're not very smart." And I'm like, "No, I just don't have any brain cells left." You know, '70s were really good to me, and you know, I'm
Yeah, I
I'm
had a
more
great time.
yeah, I'm more interested in what it is than what it can do to me. And I've had my head busted open a few times, and I don't like stitches more than the next guy. But my curiosity is always, wait a minute, let me look at this a little closer.
Hmm. Yep, I agree with you. There's just you can't help that. I mean, that's why most of us do what we do because it's like you just have this urge to, what is that? I got to figure this out. I
Yeah,
just have to try to figure this out. You know?
and when somebody has their first real paranormal experience, they're pretty much hooked at that point.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's the truth too. I don't. I was young. I was real young when I had my first experience, and it
How
wasn't in the
how
United States. It was in Germany.
so before you're 12 years old?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I would say probably around 6 that I can remember. That I can remember. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was real
I've
young.
I've I've never seen a ghost like me or you looking at each other, talking to each other. And I always say, I'll probably see Satan tap dancing on a table one day, and I won't have a camera in my hand.
Well, it's interesting because I can I have the ability to see things that some people can't. And a lot of times it doesn't come from your eye. It comes from inside. And it's really it's interesting. I have what I call my peeps, and I've got 3 of them, and they've been with me since I was an early child. As long as I can remember, they've been with me. and it's two women and a man, and they're my guides, and they guide me, and they tell me, oh, not a good plan, go back, not a good
Yeah.
plan, or they fill me in on things. But yeah, there's sometimes when I'm at an investigation, but I have to be more. I can't be around anybody in particular. That's why I kind of back away when I feel that I can clue in on something. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And in order for me to do that, I've got to kind of separate myself away from it a little bit so I can kind of just gather myself up, and then I just kind of relax, and I let my peeps guide me from there. And
Yeah.
yeah, there have been times that it's as clear as a bell to me. They're right there. It wasn't that long ago that we were in a jail in a, in this particular jail, and I could see one of them just sitting there, and I could see him shaking his head, and I could see him nodding on what things were going on, and I was giving it affirmation by saying, well, he's saying no, that didn't happen. It didn't happen like that. I'm looking at him, and so that's very interesting. And now my son doesn't have the ability to do that. He can't do that, but he can do other things, and that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. My
But
wife is very
everybody has their
intuitive.
certain something that they
Yeah. I'm as
bless you.
psychic as a fence post. Uh, you know, uh, you heard the stories about the guy getting hit with the bricks and stuff at Waverly Hills. You ever heard that?
Yeah,
Well, that's me.
I did.
And if I was psychic, I would have ducked.
One would think.
Yeah. So, instead I go here's my head, throw another piece of rock. Uh, you know, and and that's just like we were filming for Soul Catcher. We were in Oklahoma and at an abandoned Indian school on Indian land, and it's getting dark, and me, two other people behind me, and then another guy who they took my gun away from me the minute I walked onto Indian land because white man can't have gun. And
No.
as we're walking through this school, it's dark inside, and I'm trying to navigate, and all I got's a little 1 by 2 inch screen on thermal. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm blind except for what I can see on thermal. And I step on what I think is a stick or a branch. But when I step on
I
it, it
think I know
goes,
where this is going.
but when I step on it, this thing goes, ah. And I'm like, okay, time to get out of here till we get some light in here. And we start backing out. And the guy behind me goes, dude, I really hope that was your belly growling. And I'm like, man, I was hoping it's yours. And as we're backing out, I'm dropping the camera so I can get my eyesight back. And I step on it again. And the growl comes again. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to get out of here. So the next day, we're watching the dailies, and we get to this part. And as I'm dropping the camera down on the right side, like 3 feet away from me, it just lights up heat. And I'm like, what is that? We end up turning the picture upside down. It's a mountain lion with his mouth open like this. And I've just stepped on his tail twice. Ghost hunting can be
Like you
fun.
don't have any intuition at all. You don't.
No, like I said, I'm as psychic as a fence post. And then the guy who had my gun said, I just shot that cat. And I'm like, you just shot all of us, all 15 bullets in that gun before you ever touch that cat. You know,
Oh my God.
yeah. So we've had a few run-ins like that. We were filming for Children of the Grave. The Booth brothers, who I filmed with, are from England, and we're out in the middle of the woods in Missouri, and we're being hunted by a pack of coyotes. And Chris Booth, he has a tendency of walking away from the group and getting different shots and stuff. And I finally pulled him aside and I said, "Man, you need to stay with the group." He says, "Why?" And I said, "Because you're getting ready to get et, man." And he's like, "Why? What's going to et me?" And I said, "These coyotes." And he said, "What's a coyote?" They don't have coyotes in England. And I said, "Think big wolf, dog, teeth. They hunt in packs. They wait for the weak, the sick,
Bad attitude.
the old, infirm to pull away from the group, and then they kill it." And he goes, "Oh, that's not good." And I was like, "No, it's not good." So then I show him the thermal of this little ridge about 20 feet above us, and there's 6 to 10 of them sitting there looking down at us. And I was like, "Dude,
Oh,
I do not have my gun. I've got a knife and an ass. It ain't gonna do much good, you know." And he says, "Well, once you got to fight them off," I said, "I'm gonna gut you where you stand. I'm gonna run."
oh,
And he said, "Well, why would you do that?" And I'm like, "So I can get the hell out of here. That's why. It's that simple, you know."
Marcella Howard says hello.
Yeah. Hello, Marcelo.
Now I've never experienced that. I've never come across a panther or anything like that I know of, but I didn't step on them either. So,
Well, I wasn't planning on it, but no, we were filming Children of the Grave in Missouri at Zombie Road by the Mackinac River. Uh, we were out in really forest, and the cops told us before we went in because we had to get permits and everything. There are things out there that will eat you and hunt you, and I'm like what? And they said mountain lions, bears, coyotes, and they're naming all this off, and I'm like, great. And they said, by the way, leave your gun right here, and I'm like, all right. So here's my gun, and then I asked him, I said, at the end of the interview, I said, what do we need to take with us? He says, guns, lots of guns. And I said, you just took mine. He says, that's the law. I'm like, great. Didn't take my knife though.
that's kind of destined for failure right there. Oh, they're
But
so hospitable.
no, I know we just got it way off the subject, but there's more to ghost hunting than just going, "Ooh, did you hear that?" You know,
Oh yeah.
that's we're talking about the people, the wannabes. We had a case where a guy called me and said, "Come out tonight because I'm getting ready to walk away from my house." I had a group come out here. They were here for 15 minutes. They ran out screaming out the front door, said they couldn't be in here because I had 7 demons living underneath my stairs. And I went, really? He says, yeah. And he's ready to walk away from his house, let the bank take it. And I'm like, well, let's see what we find first. So we get
Yeah.
there and we find doors that they said open and close on their own. Well, they shut on their own because they're out of plumb. And I'm like, fix the doors, that won't happen no more. Uh, Kitchen sink comes off and on. Well, no, it doesn't. It comes on. Uh, you need new washers. You got to be a little bit everything
Yeah.
before the whoa, okay. So the next day I was out there and I was talking to his neighbor, and these houses are only about 6 feet apart. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Do you have any problems with your TV or anything?" He goes, "Yeah, it comes on, it turns off and on by itself, it changes the channel, the volume goes up and down." He goes, "It's a brand new TV." I said, "Where'd you get it?" He said, "Walmart." He said it was on sale. So I talked to the owner of the house we were in, and I said, "When'd you get your TV?" And he told me it's brand new. I said, "Did you get it at Walmart?" He says, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And I told him, I said, the brand name and how much he paid for it. He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Why?" I said, "Because you were on the exact opposite wall of your neighbor's house and you're only 6 feet apart.
Mhm.
It's a window right here." He said, "What's that got to do
Yep.
with it?" I said, "It's called line of sight." And he's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "That guy's remote controls this remote and this TV. Yours does the same.
Mhm.
He's having the same problem." I said, "Move your TV." Ghost gone. So so we spent 6 months there, pretty much debunking everything. And finally, I said, "Okay, it's time for us to go." And he's like, "Well, where did demons go that live underneath the stairs?" I said, "I think they left 15 minutes after they got here." You know, and
Poor guy.
the that's the kind of damage
Yeah.
uneducated people can do to
Right.
more uneducated people.
It's true. It's true. And what's really sickening is when it involves kids.
Yeah,
That's something that can really get, oh my God, that can really get me stirred up. It's like I I've heard quite a bit, and other people who I've spoken to have told me, you know, versions of what they've experienced when it comes to kids, and um, you can leave a huge traumatic scar on this kid for life by giving them the impression of something like that when it's
yeah,
actually very explainable.
yeah. You can send somebody to a
And
loony bin real quick,
you can,
and
you
you
can.
know, and some of these people who think I've seen every episode of Ghost Hunter, I'm a ghost hunter now. Well, I'm sorry. Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson and I have been friends for a long, long time. I don't care how many times you've seen them. That doesn't make you. Like you said earlier, experience makes you. Learning your
It does.
craft.
It really does. Exactly. Um, I know with me, when I have spoken to people who have expressed interest in it, and they're like, what's the best equipment? A lot of people are like, like you were talking, this is major expensive equipment out there, and people are getting quite clever, and they're really coming up with more and more and more things.
Oh yeah.
And
And
I'm really amazed by
I
some
am
of
a
it.
firm believer and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get good results. Uh Zoom products, recorders, field recorders are about the best, recording mics out there. And you can get them now for under $100. Uh, you know, it's great. You can go get a used thermal camera, a good thermal, like a FLIR, for about 300 or 400 bucks. You don't have to spend 30,
Mhm.
$40,000. If that's what your goal is, build up to it, but don't just go spend your money right off the bat because you're not going to like the results you get. And then when I get up there
Exactly.
and when I take people into a place to teach, and I have them bring 8 different digital recorders, 10 different cameras, and go on. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, now you got to listen to each one of these separately.
Mhm.
Now you've got about 40 hours wrapped up. Listen to this, and they're going, well, this is boring. I was like, welcome to
Of
ghost
course,
hunting.
that's exactly right. A lot of hours spent in listening to absolutely nothing to
It's
find that
yeah,
golden
find that one
chalice.
thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's like watching paint
It's
dry.
probably not going to be there anyway.
Right. If it is, you're
Yep.
lucky. You're very lucky.
Yeah,
You know,
extremely
you
lucky.
know, if we knew what
Extremely.
this stuff was because of the time I've got spent into us, I'd have a PhD name behind my name about that long,
Hmm.
just for the years that I put in. But again, we don't know what this is. Uh, that's like a lot of people who have good intentions say, I'm here to send them to the other side. I'm like, first of all, tell me who them are, Number two, what is the other side? You know, you're you're just contemplating what is in your brain. That there's a heaven and a hell and a void. You know, we don't know none of this for sure yet. The best thing we can do is give a little comfort to the family that's living there to say, hey, you're not crazy. Things are really happening. Or here's why they're happening. It's not paranormal in nature. Here it is. Let me show you. And I think that's what our job is right now, besides just being data takers.
Yeah, yeah. Helping people understand something that they cannot control
Right.
that is happening,
Hmm.
and hopefully get them interested enough to research into understanding
Right. To take the
what
time
is
to
what
do
is
it.
take the time to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like I haven't run across a whole lot of cases that's just crazy out of control, and those are so rare, so rare. And I tell people that as I go in, everybody thinks the worst. Oh, this is no. I can tell you right now, before I ever get there, it's like winning the lottery of lotteries. It's virtually impossible. So let's go in with a little bit more of an open mind of let's take a look and see what it could be
Yeah.
in
That's
reality versus
totally.
what we're thinking that it could be. And
Yeah.
a lot of times with the newer people who are just getting involved into it, um, when we're talking about equipment and stuff like that, my best advice to them is go with your own, intuitive nature.
Yeah.
Everybody has an intuitive nature. Everybody does.
And you
And
gotta you gotta remember, fear, adrenaline, and paranoia go a long way to make a ghost happen. And
yes,
when people get scared, their mind automatically starts coming up with these scenarios. And that's basically to protect
absolutely.
themselves. And, not everything's a ghost, not everything's a demon. I have yet to run in one, and I've been doing this for almost 50 years now. Uh, you know, um, I have a real problem with people go, it's a demon. And I'm like,
I
really?
do. I do
Did
too.
Yeah. Did he come up and say, "Hi, my name is Beelzebub"? I'm still waiting for the day Bob the Ghost walks up and goes, "Hi, I'm Bob." You know, it hadn't happened yet,
I've
but
seen some pretty. I've seen some pretty strange things out there.
oh
I
yeah,
tell you.
like I said, I've been thrown
Oh
through
man.
doors. I've been thrown through doors, through walls, down steps, up steps. Uh,
Yep.
you know, there is some type of phenomena going on. We just don't know what it
Yeah.
is yet. That's all. I've actually had I broke my leg when we were filming, and went just finished filming even though I broke my leg. And if that ain't dedication, I don't know what is. Honestly,
That is pretty dedication. I
because
know.
we
I.
because
I
then we
would.
started going to some really cool places, and I was like, this is awesome. I'm not going to a hospital.
I don't have time.
Yeah, I'm only bleeding
Yeah,
through one artery. I'm okay.
we're good. A little bit of band-aid. I get good. Get out there. Yeah. I mean, I remember one night there was. Let me see. One, two, three. Yeah, there was three of us that were thrown down the stairs, one right into the other, all the way down the stairs. And it was
Yeah.
terrible. You
Again,
know?
ghost hunting can be fun.
That was a lot of fun that night.
Yeah, I bet.
A lot of things happened that night.
Yeah, I remember
But, you
we
know,
were doing an investigation once. I fell down. We were in an old school. I fell down a flight of stairs. Those old concrete and metal and steel stairs. And then there was a wall of glass, 2 stories tall. You know what I'm talking about in those old schools where they had the metal inside the
Mhm.
glass? Well, it was either
I
hit
do.
that, the door was open, so I aimed for the door and I missed and I hit the steel turnbuckle and I broke my collarbone. So I broke 2 bones in my right arm, my collarbone, my shoulder, and 3 ribs. And people are going, "Oh man, you got through down the stairs." I'm like, "No, I tripped over my own 2 big feet." Not everything's a ghost.
No, not everything is a ghost. Uh, a lot of times when people get hurt on these particular excursions, they do it to themselves
Yeah,
out of fright, the fear to get away, and in someone's haste to get away out of fear, they could knock somebody over, run right over them, push them down the stairs. Anything can
here
happen if you don't have
I'll,
your
gi-
wits
I'll give
about
you
you.
I'll give you a good one. Years ago, I used to take anybody who wanted to go ghost hunt with me teach. We went to a house here in Old Louisville that looked like something out of the Munsters. And you walk down this little hallway. There's a stair that you're expecting to see Spot the Dragon come out of any moment, and cobwebs everywhere. And the lady is taking me back to the kitchen to meet her husband. Well, I've got 4 newbies behind me that are just right on my back. And as we get to the kitchen, I stop in my tracks because I'm hearing a whook, whook, and I'm seeing blood and gore flying. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what am I walking into? Next thing I hear is a scream from behind me. I hear footsteps running. I hear the front door slam. I hear screeching brakes, and then I hear a thud. Well, this girl was so hyped up and scared, all she saw was the blood and guts flying. She went running out of the house and ran into the street and got hit by a car. Well, all it was the owner of the house was in the kitchen gutting a deer, and he was chopping it up. Nothing paranormal, but the
Oh
fear
man,
factor kicked in. So yeah,
yeah,
somebody can definitely get hurt. And it's just so easy to do. It's not funny. Like I
it
said,
is.
I almost got ate by a lion. you know. So, but then again, the stones and stuff at Waverly Hills, that can't be explained. I've had my head busted open 3 times from flying debris. Just can't explain it. So there's the cool side, there's the uh-oh side, and then there's the what the hell were you thinking side too. So
I've been to all three. I might have caused some of them.
like definitely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's hard when you're really got that fright, you know. But again, here we go. Here we go. That goes back into experience. How many
Well,
times you
like
felt
like
that
like I
fright?
said, I don't have enough brain cells left to be scared of this stuff. My initial thought is just go, what? Wait a minute, let me see that closer. Oh, that's an axe coming at my head. Duck. You know,
Duck.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't duck as fast anymore either.
oh, honey, neither do I. Are you kidding? I'd be one of the last. I'd be like that person in a bad, scary movie. I'd be the one that they'd get first because I can't run that fast. Everybody be going in front of me, and I'm like, I'm the token.
You just raise your hand, and say, "Here I am."
Here I am. I'm tired of running.
This is true.
Absolutely, it is. Lord, it's like if you guys are that strong enough to run out of here, take me with you.
Yeah.
Don't leave me here alone.
Let me grab onto your belt. Drag me.
Exactly, just drag me.
Yeah. My legs might not run as fast, but I'm hoping yours can carry both of us. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So, have you done any of the cryptology?
Have I done any of the cryptology?
Yeah, like Bigfoot or
I've gone on a few. Uh, I believe there's something out there. Uh, Kane Hodder and I were actually going to go visit Boggy Creek and stay out in the woods for a week. Uh,
ah,
but funding fell through for it. But you know, I've gone to a few places. You know, uh, 10, 15 years ago, I was one of the very few people who actually had one of the very first thermal cameras, and I had people wanting me to go here, go there, and then I had a group say, "We want you to come and use your bring your thermal." And they said, "What else would you bring?" And I said, 30-06. And they're like, "What for?" And I said, "You're the one telling me about these things throwing boulders at people and trying to kill them." I said, "I want something to fire back at them." And they're like, "You'd shoot them?" I'm like, "Well, duh." And they're like, "You'd shoot an endangered species?" And I went, "Wait a minute. First of all, we don't even know that it is a species. Well, what if it's a man?" I said, "Well, then he's going to be dead.
he's
It's that
throwing rocks
simple."
at me.
Yeah. I said, "Can you think of a better way to prove Bigfoot for me to blow its head off and drag its carcass out of the woods?" And they hung up on me at that point. They
Well, I
didn't like
don't
my
know.
they didn't like my answer.
Well, I can tell you. Now, I was 16 years old at the time, but I did see a well. See, I'm down in Florida, and we call them skunk apes down here.
Yep. Uh, I
When
was a
when some
cop down in Fort Lauderdale. I know what you're talking about.
oh, okay, well then you know. And this one actually happened. Well, you know where Homestead is.
Right outside of Fort Lauderdale. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It
That's out
got.
my
I was down there during Hurricane Andrew when it wiped Homestead off the face of the map.
I was in the middle of that.
Ouch.
Our house our house was on 6th Avenue and it came right smack down the middle of 8th Street.
Yeah. A1A and Sixth Avenue. Yep.
Man, let me tell you. What a mess. But this is way before Andrew. Andrew was in 1992
Yeah.
and
Out there in the marshlands in the West End.
yes. And out by do you remember Turkey Point?
Yes.
That okay. That's where it had really come in was up in that area, and we lived west of that. I mean, almost like due west. It came right over the top of our the middle of the eye came right over our house.
2 miles
Poor
away from
guy, poor guy.
Osceola.
Yeah, it was rough.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, Homestead Air Force Base is back there, and behind the flight line on Homestead Air Force Base is we would go back there when we were in high school as kids and we'd party out back there because nobody went out there except for idiots
Yeah.
like us.
And 8 foot
And
tall grass. Yeah.
yes, and it was, I don't know, 11, maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night. And the first thing that hit me was this rancid smell, really, really, really bad smell. And of course, I'm thinking maybe a deer had gotten killed or something had gotten killed out there, you know. And I was thinking, oh God, I don't want to step on something. But I noticed that there was like a short, a narrow canal with mangroves in it. You know, there's mangroves everywhere down there. And when I looked up, there was this huge man just standing there looking at me. It had to. I mean, this guy had to have been like 8 foot tall, 7, 8 foot tall. I mean, it was huge. And he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and I'm like, oh, oh my God. And he turned around and he ran through those mangroves. No person could have done that.
Yeah.
Nobody can run through a mangrove.
Well, like I said,
And he,
a lot of that grass and shrubbery and everything is 6, 7 foot tall. You know,
yeah,
who can go through that stuff? And I mean, and if you do, you're going to get cut to pieces. You know,
cut.
that
This
sawgrass
thing
will
didn't
just
have a
tear you
problem in the
up.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he didn't have
I
a
mean,
problem in the world. He was gone.
you know, and
And I was like, oh, yeah,
before Andrews got wiped off the face of the earth, they had a whole file on skunk ape because it was so prevalent around the base. And they would leave oranges and all kinds of stuff out for they'd come out and they'd be gone. And of course, people go, "Well, some animal got it." And they're like going, "It's 9 feet up in the air. How to get it?"
yeah,
You know. So I think there's something there. Same way with aliens. Do I go hunt them? No, because that's just not my field. I'm really interested in, but I'm not stupid enough to get up here and think we're the only intelligent life in the universe. It's got to be something
yeah,
else.
most absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. They're coming up with I don't know. Now all of a sudden it seems to be the age of spilling the beans. And now they're coming up with the fact that they're getting ready to release all this pertinent secret information on UFOs and all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm
Right.
like, it would have been nice if they would have done that a little while ago when everybody was really questioning it. Now it's like at a point of like, no kidding. You're just coming up with that? Does the skunk ape smell worse than a Bigfoot? They're the same thing. They're, Teresa, they're the same thing. Well, I don't know. It depends on what a Bigfoot is. You get some you get some line construction man pulling his boots off. I don't know, it can be pretty bad.
Yeah.
But as far as skunk apes and Bigfoot, they're both really the same thing. But I know that the skunk ape, and they did have this where I saw this particular one at, is that there was cabbage patches out there, just fields and fields of cabbage.
Right.
And when the cabbage starts to go bad, oh man, it really smells bad. And theory had it is that they would eat the cabbage, and that's what would make them smell because they smelled that had that cabbage, that rotten cabbage smell to them, and which made sense to me. I mean, they eat anything, but that's basically what I smelled before I looked up and saw it. But man, Keith, this thing was huge. This thing was absolutely huge,
Yeah. Like I said,
and I went to try to tell them.
when we were filming out in Oklahoma, we ran into something, and I didn't have a camera with me or anything, but it was as tall as the eaves of the house,
Oh,
and it was moving. Couldn't see what it was, and it got into the tree line of the forest, and it just disappeared. And I'm like going, I think I might have just seen a Bigfoot. Uh,
yeah,
the only thing I could actually see was its eyes, and they were just really really red. And then when it turned and just got to moving, I was like going, either there's a Bigfoot or there's a great big bear. I don't know which.
right, right, and so a lot of times I think Richard Johnson, hey, and Teresa saying that we need to get together to do a Bigfoot hunt. Yeah, I'm totally for it. I'm totally for it. Um, it's just so blasted hot. I'm a pansy. I don't like getting all hot. I like cool. But Teresa's been wanting to do a Bigfoot hunt for a while now.
Who has?
So, say what?
Who has? I didn't hear the name of who you said.
Richard Johnson?
Oh, hey, Richard. There's nobody.
Yeah, they Homestead had a lot of activity down there. They had a lot of activity with a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
you know,
we used to take motorcycles and ride all the way
hmm
from Fort Lauderdale through the marshes and everything. That was fun. There's no hills in Florida, and
yeah,
the only thing you had to really worry about were gators, and one of them coming out on the path you're on, and all the way down to Miami, and then come back, and you'd hear all these different stories, and when you're dealing with Fort Lauderdale, you're dealing with the Haitians, the Jamaicans, the
hmm
Americans, and all these different
very
cultures, so
yeah,
you hear a lot of different stories.
yeah, that's true. One time that I was on my way back down to Miami, I'm driving through Fort Lauderdale, and we were up on the turnpike. I mean, this is right on the turnpike. I think was it? No, we
Night
weren't on 836 or 826 yet. We were still up on the turnpike.
on
And
95.
no, this is on the turnpike, the actual turnpike, the pike itself.
Oh, the
And
120.
yeah, yeah, and we were driving down, and my son goes, "Mom, what is that?" My son Sean was with me, and I'm like, "What?" And I look over, and there is something running along the side of the turnpike, and I mean, he's going pretty fast, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?" It was a Komodo dragon, and my son's like, "Let me out of the car! I want to catch it." I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?" No, Six will kill you.
We don't have any room in the car for
No,
it.
a Komodo dragon. And I
Yeah.
was like, my God, it's bad enough the pythons and the gators. Now there's Komodo dragon. There's everything
Yeah,
out there.
and that
I
was
just couldn't believe
before
it.
the hurricane destroyed the zoo
Yeah,
down
that
there.
was no. That's right. No, actually, this was after the hurricane.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
this was
wasn't.
after the hurricane. But yeah, and I lived right. I lived very, very, very close to the zoo, the Metro Zoo. And after the hurricane, uh, my husband came down from the from the attic because he had to go up there to go do something up in the attic, and kind of leaned down. He looked at me and he goes, "Oh, you got to see this." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Either there is an extremely ugly man up in our attic, or it's not a man." He says, "Get a look up that and see what you." It was a monkey, and it was like
Really?
several monkeys. Yeah, they had gotten loose. There was a primate institute out there,
Yeah,
and I don't think that these actually came from the zoo itself. These came from the Primate Research Institute,
yeah. I think it
and
was
they had
called.
got
I think it was called the Richardson primate something or other.
something or another. And
Yeah.
of course, then all the rumors started about the tuberculosis. Oh, don't touch the monkeys. They've got TB and they've got this, they've got that. I said, what the hell? You think I'm going to get close enough to find out what they've got? Just want it out of my head.
Shooting first.
Yeah, just get the ape out of the attic.
Yeah, it has teeth. That's all I care about.
Let him swing on out, but he
Yeah,
can't stay here.
this is
Yeah,
true.
Homestead was it was fun. I ended up moving from there in 2005, and I've been up here in Marianna, Florida since 2005. And boy, talk about a culture shock. Big difference between the two.
Yeah. Did
Really
they
big
did
difference.
they ever rebuild Hialeah?
Oh yeah.
Did they?
Oh yeah.
I figured they would have, but I just never heard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We used to go to the Hialeah Speedway all the time.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah, we used to have fun there. Um, yeah, that's the one thing about that area. Everybody used to say, if you don't have anything to do on the weekend, you had a boring weekend. That's your fault because there's something to do up
Hmm.
there
All,
every
all,
weekend. You
every
always
weekend,
find something to
every town had something. You know, you
do.
could go out to
Exactly.
the national parks and watch the thousands of raccoons show up to be fed, or watch the
Hmm.
gators come out to feed on the raccoons, or go
Yeah,
ghost
yeah,
hunting. You know,
yeah.
or play Hialeah.
Like I like.
Two
Oh
dollars a
yeah.
ball. $2 a ball.
Well, the last time I went down there, my son moved up here 3 years ago. My oldest son moved up here 3 years ago. My youngest son has been up here with me, and my daughter lives up in Ohio. But the last time we went down there, I thought we were going to die on I-95. They were passing me going way over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Way over 100 miles an hour.
and it's not 4 lanes anymore. It's like 10 lanes each side now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're right. I mean, if you're doing 75 mile an hour, you're sitting still.
You get run over. Yeah. You will get run over. And I was pulling a U-Haul, and at one point, somebody passed me going so fast, it created such a draft. That whole U-Haul just started just going crazy. And I thought, here we go. Here we go. But no, I got it under control, and I was just cursing. I was like, you know, so the guy is like a mile ahead of me. Big deal. You know,
Yeah,
I'll get there eventually too.
yeah.
But
Just
it was
keep
just
going, buddy.
crazy. Just keep going.
Yeah.
You're up there. I want you up there. I want you as far away from me as possible.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't even recognize it anymore. It's just when I first moved there in Homestead, we first moved there in 1972 or 73. Man, it was nice. It was really nice at that time. Now, night and day. Homestead now looks like Miami used to when we first moved there. That's how crowded Homestead
Yeah,
is.
it's been 25 years since I've been there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's getting up close to that to me. Yeah. So, and I had a horse ranch out there, out in the Redlands, and I had my horse riding school. And now it's just that's almost like obsolete. It's just houses, houses, houses everywhere.
Yeah,
So,
little bitty
yep,
ranch houses that cost $4 million each.
about, about,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you know,
So,
and that's one of the things that did give me the culture shock when I first got down there was there were so many horses, and
yeah.
on these canals where the gators would come up, and I'm like, aren't you afraid to eat the horse? And I watched a horse just stomp a gator to death, and I'm
Stomp a
like,
gator to death. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, oh my god, okay, I'm not worried about that no more.
You need to worry about getting stomped by a horse.
I don't even want to be
Oh
kicked
my
by
God.
one.
I had a pure black Pasifino down there. His name was Briante. And he was meaner than a two-headed snake, but I loved that horse. And
Uh, that sounds really pretty.
I had him out. Oh, he beautiful. He had Andalusian in him, so
Hmm,
his mane would go and just wrap over my
hmm,
knees. You couldn't even see my legs when I rode him, and his tail would
hmm.
literally brush the ground behind him. And he was so black that I didn't leave him out in the daytime because I didn't want the sun to like fade him and discolor his black. So I left
or
him.
or
Yeah,
bakey.
I left him in the stall. Yeah, yeah. So I left him in his stall with the fans on him during the day, and then I'd leave him out at night. And he was he was so cool. He was so damn mean that You didn't hear him sneaking up on you, and he was so black you couldn't see him. And we used to say that he was our guard horse. We didn't worry about anybody coming in my yard. He'd stomp you into a mud hole.
You're talking
He was
about aliens and stuff. You got Cape Canaveral and several other big places down there. So you get to learn these places, and you get to knowing some of the astronauts and stuff. And if you listen to the
yeah,
astronauts talk about what they've seen in outer space, you just go, "Wow, that's awesome."
yeah, yeah. And it's a shame that they have to wait until after they retire in order to
Yeah,
hear their
Under
experiences.
penalty of death. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
and here I'll give you one better. Do you know who designed some of the booster rockets and things of that nature at NASA?
Who?
His name was Roland Doe. Do you know who that is?
Roland?
He
No,
is the boy that The Exorcist is about.
no,
Oh yeah,
really?
oh yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Became a rocket scientist. Yeah, I say the devil made him do it. But getting back to ghosts and stuff, when I said I'm a psychic at the fence post, there's only been three places I've ever been to where the hair stood up on the back of my neck. One of them was the Exorcist house. We were the first ones to film there. I walked through the
Oh,
doorway and I just went, "Whoa, what is that?" And wasn't expecting it. The other place is the first time I ever went to Gettysburg, and first time I went to Round Top, and I stepped out on the field and I got just goosebumps, and I'm like, "That's weird." And then the other time, the last time was at Little Bighorn, stepping out onto the field in the plane where Custer met his
oh,
end, and
yeah.
that's a really wild place because you could pick up so much with the good audio recorders, and you know the same way with Gettysburg, and go watch our movie The Haunted Boy, and you can see some great evidence that we've caught for Sci-Fi Channel.
Yep. Again, you can't see it if it's not there, you know?
Well, just because our
And
eyes might not see it or our ears might not hear it, a lot of this gear can pick it up.
that's right. That's right. And yes, it's very difficult to dispute that. And
Yeah.
that's the stuff that I am more fascinated with, I think, than anything else. Um, is when you see something like that, and it's obvious what it is, and your mind just gets to working. It's like, but where, but how, and I want to know where it came from. I want to know how it's there. I want to know. I just had that. Uh, I would love to get down and figure it out, but I have a feeling this stuff is not going to be answered probably within our lifetimes because they just
I
don't have the
agree.
technology at this point. They don't
Yeah.
have the technology to.
Well, right now it's a pseudoscience, and
Yeah,
you know that's why I just have such a hard time with a lot of people going, "Well, it's this, it's that. We know this, we know that," and I'm like, "No, you don't. We don't know anything yet." And they're, "Well, orbs
yeah.
are this and that," and I'm like, 99.9%
Hmm.
of the time you can prove what an orb really is. I'm a photography major, you know, and if people learn their craft, you'll learn that orbs are usually something, natural or, you know, that's just like people go, "Look at all these orbs I got next to this bonfire," and I'm like, "Oh my god,"
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I'm not a big orb person.
No,
I,
neither, neither am I. I got stabbed
yeah,
over
I'm
an
not a
orb
big orb.
once.
You got stabbed over an orb?
Yep. Yep. Uh, Up in Ohio at a convention, people bring pictures all the time and say, "What do you think about this?" And this lady put the picture down in front of me, and there was this great big orb, and she said, "What do you think about this?" And I was like, "Well, it's a dust orb." And before I could say anything else, she snatched it back up. She goes, that's my dead Aunt Petunia. I'd recognize her anywhere. I went, "Really?" From from this picture. And as I went to show her again and explained to her, I felt a whack right here in my chest. And I looked down and I've got a 2 inch by 8 inch knife buried in my chest. And I remember actually trying to go to swing, actually on this side. I went to swing and she buried it so far, she buried it into my arm socket. I couldn't move my arm. And so I ended up swinging with my left arm and put her down. And then I'm trying to pull this knife out, and Kane Hodder and several others are going, "Sit down, man, leave it alone." I'm like, "I want this out." So I still got the knife. It's now my steak knife.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she just got out of jail a couple
Oh,
months ago.
oh, you don't say. Oh,
Yeah,
from because of that incident?
she went to jail for attempted murder.
Well, yeah, she should have. Oh my God. Just insane. Oh my
But
gosh, we're
but
way
that's
over
that's
time.
not the reason why I'm not an orb person. No, it just I just find it funny that I was actually stabbed over a friggin' orb. You know, it just when you can prove something 99.9% of the time and recreate it, it's not paranormal in nature.
Right. I completely agree.
You know,
Keith, it's been so much fun having you on here.
I don't begrudge anybody that says, "Ooh, I feel this or I feel that." You probably do. I just can't see it or quantify it. That's all. If I can, then I'm like, okay, you got something. But like I said, you know, I've got a few people, Scotty Rourke, Rick Hayes, uh, I know won't BS me or try to BS me or try to play the game. Uh, you know, if they tell me something, I tend to believe them. Automatic. I don't question it because I know they're telling me what they really feel. But then, like I said, you got the other people who are going, "Ooh, pay me." You know, those are the ones you go, "Give me my gun. I need to shoot somebody."
I don't go, oh, I don't do
Well, I was not talking about you.
that. I should hope not. No, but when you see me kind of pull away, I'm kind of backing up and kind of that that's usually when it's like I'm getting something. I'm working on something.
You're centering yourself. I understand that,
Yes.
but
Yeah. Well,
but
exactly. Exactly.
but somebody walks in and that's just like we had a quote psychic at a certain place who walked in and went, "Ooh, there's a vortex in this room," and I'm sitting there with a thermal imager, and I'm like, "Really? Where?" And they're going, "Right here, right here. It's right here." And I put the thermal imager on. I look at them and just said, "You're nuts." They go, "What do you mean?" I said, "You know what a vortex is?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's a portal to another world." And I'm like, "No, it's energy." I said, Energy gives off heat in one shape or another." I said, "This gun would be registering it. There's nothing here." And they're like, "No, it's there. You just can't feel it." I'm like, "Well, if it's a vortex and I stick my hand in, I should be sucked into it." And I'm like, "Look, nothing, nothing." So, I I just, some people, like I said, just need to be shot. And, you know, I do not suffer
I know.
fools. I don't suffer fools very well.
Well, it's hard to really do a good job and to do a serious job when you've got people that you don't really relate to and you can't really click on their wavelength. It's like you do it one way, they do it another way, and sometimes the two are just so different that
Like I said,
it
I don't
just
begrudge anybody that says, "Ooh, I feel this," or "I think this. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm feeling." I don't begrudge that at all. It's when you decide to get stupid with it, then I'm like, time to go. You know, when you get up here and say something like, "There's a vortex here," and there's no energy readings whatsoever, you're just like, "Oh my god," this is somebody who's crazy, who wants this so bad it's not funny.
yeah, and a lot of people do that. And again, that's not what this is about. This is not about somebody's need for attention. This is about science and,
Well, or as science
serious
as
studies,
close as can be right now. Uh,
as close
y-
as it can be.
yeah, the people that have been in it a long time got in it for the right reasons. We've all either had something happen to us, uh, and are curious, and we're trying to find answers as to why these things happen. And then
Hmm.
there's some people who've gotten into it for the wrong reason, who think they're going to get
Yeah.
rich. And again, they say, well, you got a TV show. I'm like, do you know how much paranormal pay is? And they're like, no, it
Yeah.
sucks.
It
You know,
sucks.
they're like, well, you got to be making a lot of money. I'm like, look,
No.
we're not actors. We're not in the union. They pay us what they want to pay us. You know,
If they
uh,
pay you.
yeah, if they're paying you, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I completely agree. For everybody out there, Keith is going to be at our Paracomic-Con is the Deep South Paracomic-Con on August the 9th and 10th at the Ozark Civic Center in Ozark, Alabama. So y'all got to come to this and meet Keith Age here. He's going to be there, and it's going to be great. I'm going to
yeah,
be up there. I'll be at the
yeah,
Paracomic-Con.
and oh, good. I finally get to meet you. And I just
Yeah.
heard today that my old buddy Ken Gerhardt's going to be there.
Yes. I studied under Ken.
Really, Ken is an old
Yeah.
friend.
Ken's a good teacher. Yeah, Ken's my mentor.
Yeah,
He's a lot of fun.
when I have a crypto question, that's who I usually call. Say, okay, old buddy, listen to me. Here's what I got. Tell me what I'm thinking.
Talk about experience. Now there's somebody with some experience. He knows his stuff.
Oh yeah.
That
Again,
man knows his stuff.
he's one of those people who I don't question what he tells me. You know. Plus, we
Yeah.
have fun together.
Yeah, he's and his fiance now. They are engaged now.
Yeah, I got to meet her last
Amen.
year in Arkansas,
Did you?
and
So sweet. So
the
sweet.
kids. Yeah, I was very happy for Ken. But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we're excited.
everybody needs to
We're
come to Alabama.
That's right. That's right. You guys got to come to Alabama. I'm sitting here reading Teresa's stuff here. Richard said, "We old as hell. We've been doing this for decades."
There you go. Hey, Richard's the one who turned me on to this, so I can't give him too
It's all
much
his
crap.
fault. Oh my gosh. Well, Keith, thank you so much for coming on to the show tonight. Yeah, I've
Thank,
just really
thank,
enjoyed having you on here.
thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, are you kidding? I wish you'd come back more and more. Um,
All you
but
gotta do is
we're gonna.
ask.
I, I will be.
All
Uh,
right, no
now I
problem.
will be. Um, so I'm going to see you. If I don't talk to you before then, I'm going to be seeing you on August the 9th. I'm excited. You know, um, William Perry was at our last Paracomic Con, He, William Perry. He did the. He played Freddy Krueger in The
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think he was in two, three, four, and six, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he was in quite a few of them, and so, and anyway, he we were talking, and we were talking about the Paracomic Con, and it's true. It's like we're one big family. And
Yeah.
like once a year, it's like a family reunion, and we all get together. We're like, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you."
Yeah. Do you remember the Mid South Paranormal Convention?
Hmm.
That was mine, and I did that for over
That was
20
good.
years. And uh, like you said, it's like one big family, one big
It
party.
is.
I treated it like a rock and roll show, and you know, when you have the opening party and you sell $17,000 worth of booze in an hour, you know it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to. Talking about booze, Teresa just put down there's an after party at Benchmark Craft Beer and Wine in downtown Ozark after the convention on August
Cool,
9th. Yeah.
cool. I'll have to catch a ride with
Good time.
somebody.
Well, I think we're probably all going to be at the same hotel.
Oh, so okay. I thought it was at a different location. Okay, gotcha.
Well, no, but all of us are all going to be staying at the same place, I think.
Right. I
So
just I just meant
there'll
if the
be a lot of
party's
people.
somewhere, if it's somewhere else, I'm gonna have to ride with somebody.
Oh, sure, anybody. And look, you can catch a ride with me. I'll be going.
There you go.
There you go. We'll go. We'll go to the party.
But again, thank you for having me. It has been fun.
Thank you for coming. I really enjoyed it. And everybody out there, thank you guys for joining us. And Teresa, Marcella, and Richard, thank you guys for coming on and joining in on our conversations. Keith, you've been wonderful, and I've really so enjoyed you. And we're
Same
going to be
here.
seeing Keith on August the 9th. Thank you. And everybody come out. And next week, spooky things, 7 Central, 8 Eastern Time on the Web Radio Network. Come on out and see what we got going on then. But Keith, thank you once again.
Thank you.